Hello and welcome to a brand new Vote Show. This is the Adrian Worthing version of a popular show that's been running on Latest TV for a long time now, both live and on air. My name is Mike Mendoza. The show comes to you from the Southern Pavilion on Worthing Pier. Today it's a pleasure to welcome to the Pavilion candidates that are standing for the upcoming Ada by-election for St Mary's Ward. St Mary's Ward, of course, is within the heart of Shoreham Town Centre. Has been held by the Conservatives for several years. Prior to that, the ward was very much a Labour stronghold, with a very popular councillor in the shape of Jeff Howitt. There's 4 candidates standing in these elections, all representing political parties, and I'll introduce those in a moment. First up, it's been brought to my attention that a couple of leaflets have been put out by the Conservative Party, both of which have my photograph on. I'd like to assure you, certainly as far as the black and white version is concerned, today is the very first time I've actually seen this leaflet. I want to assure you 100%, I do not endorse any candidates. I want you to be assured also I'm very impartial on this one. And also very neutral. I'm here purely almost as a referee. I'm not going to say someone's doing something better than another. I'm making no personal comment. This is purely me chairing a meeting. So I hope everyone is okay with that one. Okay? Okay, if I can introduce the political parties we've got here. We've got Stephen Chipp, Conservative. Jenny Gregg is standing for UKIP. She's not here. I'll explain more about that in a moment. Irene Reid for Labour. And Jenny Tyndall for Green. All parties and candidates were invited to take part in the debate, and I'm delighted that all agreed to appear. Unfortunately, Jenny Gregg of UKIP is unable to appear, and in her place we have Paul Graysmark. We have a legal obligation to ensure that all parties standing for the election are represented today, so this is why Paul is here. I'm very happy that all the candidates are here and happy to put their points across. You can see we've got a studio audience here as well, and we'll always do this in future programmes as we work our way through. Today's show is going to be in 2 parts, so let's move on now and introduce you to the 3 candidates we have here today. Please welcome Stephen Chipp, Conservative, Irene Reid, Labour, Jenny Tyndall, Green, and Paul Graysmark, representing UKIP on behalf of Jenny Gregg. Welcome to you. I'm going to put various questions to all the candidates and allow the audience to put their questions as well as the show goes on. So my first question, all my questions are for all of you, by the way. The first question is, what's more important to you, the party you represent, the public you represent, yourself, or the ward, the area? So let's start off with Irene.
Thank you, Mike. I live locally. I live in St Mary's, so I'm standing principally because I want to see this community thrive and become an even better place to live and work and visit. That's my answer. Thanks.
Thank you. Jenny?
Yes, I live just across the footbridge on Shoreham Beach. I've lived in the area for 18 years. My commitment, number 1, is to the community and to St Mary's Ward. That's where I shop every day. I walk across the footbridge and I meet people in the cafes. I know loads of people around the area and lots of friends who live in St Mary's Ward as well. So absolutely. The values of the Green Party are behind my principles as well, but mainly to the community. Okay,
so would you stand for yourself or the party?
I'm standing for the party, but if I had to make a choice, I would consider standing for myself.
Okay, Stephen Chipp.
I'm standing to help the local community. In St Mary's, I live in Hillside Ward and stood for the Southlands Ward in May this year. But primarily you're elected as a local councillor to help the local community, so that's what I'm here to do. Okay,
and to Paul Graysmark.
On behalf of Jenny, who stood in Hillside, lives in Southwick Green. I live in St Mary's. I'm a councillor for Southlands and I'm interested in the whole of Ada.
Okay. Question 2, would you always toe the party line even if you felt it wasn't right for your ward? So let's start off with you, Jenny.
Well, I think it's quite controversial because I personally feel that parking near a small town centre like Shoreham is actually really vital, that free parking is there more than perhaps a city like Brighton. So I actually support, strangely enough, free car parks near the town centre because that frees up the roads from parked cars everywhere. It's less dangerous, and so that's my personal view for Shoreham. That's what would work better in Shoreham. It might not work everywhere in the country. I tend to park at Ada Rec because it's free.
Sorry, we're asking the question, would you toe the party line?
Oh, I would be conflicted. I would be committed to the community. That would be number 1. What was the needed in St Mary's?
Okay, and Stephen?
If I'm elected to help the people of St Mary's Ward, then the answer is no. I stick to my guns. I've got opinions, and to date, in the two elections that I'm standing in, the first one in Southlands and now this one, I've had no one tell me my opinion, and I don't envisage that changing at all. So no, the answer is no.
Thank you, Irene.
I can't see it arising because I'm quite comfortable with current Labour Party policies. In terms of where I would take the lead from, I believe in decent and thorough consultation, something I feel unfortunately Ada Council doesn't do a great deal of. I would listen very carefully and consult with residents across the piece and find out if there were any critical decisions that maybe divide people. I would want to find out what the issues are, and I would consult very closely with people.
Thank you, Paul.
UKIP are not whipped, and therefore the answer would be that we would stand for the people.
Okay. Do you know the ward you wish to represent? Let's start with Stephen this time.
Yes. I've lived. I moved to be with my wife from Spain 13 years ago. We first initially lived in Hove, and then we moved over to Shoreham because it's the side we lived in Church Green, and then we're now in Southwick because we're the other side of Kingston Lane. We shop locally. I've got a dog. I walk along the river very regularly. I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter as well, so she likes going to see all the birds along the river. So yes, I know the area very well, and having lived here for 9.5 years now.
Thank you, Irene.
Yes, as I said, I live in St Mary's. I moved here about 8 years ago, originally from the northeast of England, and then spent several years in London working and running a business, and chose to live in Shoreham. I love it, and I am very firmly committed to working with the people of St Mary's to make it a better community.
Thank you. Jenny?
Yes, I've lived in the area for 18 years, both in South Lancing and in Shoreham Beach as well. And as I said earlier, I shop there every day. I'm committed to the local community. I go to events, I go to the farmers market, cultural events, and yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Paul?
I know St Mary's very well, more than anywhere.
On behalf of Jenny?
On behalf of Jenny, Jenny's a long-term resident of Crossroads in Southwick, uses Shoreham as everybody else does. And I've been there for 24 years. And I thought I was coming for 2 and I stayed.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Is what are the issues in St Mary's Ward that concern you? Let's start off with Irene.
First of all, I'm very concerned about air quality. Traffic is horrendous on Eastern Avenue, especially when the level crossing is down. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but the conversation varies at the level crossing. Who chooses to keep the crossing down for I've stood there for 5 trains sometimes, and it's no fun in the snow and the rain. So I think that is a major issue. I think that it is bizarre that the council had nothing to say when Network Rail decided to close the subway for pedestrians. That was about 3 years ago, I think, and we are now campaigning to reopen that subway. That's issue number 1. Eastern Avenue is doubly hit because of the schools at one end and the Tesco's, and at the other end you've got Dolphin Road and all of the traffic going down to the industrial estate and the level crossing and Darnelm and McDonald's. It really is very difficult for people living up there. One of my first things as councillor will be, one of my first priorities as councillor will be to organise meetings with residents in Eastern Avenue to find out what we can actually do to improve the situation there, and obviously improve the situation for people living in rat runs. The old town, I've seen a lot of traffic that runs down the back when the high street is very, very busy at rush hour times. You see an awful lot of traffic that runs up the back, down Western Road and then down West Street. And again, I think that some kind of traffic planning expertise is needed to sort that problem out for residents. So those are some of my priorities.
Okay, thank you. Jenny Tyndall, your issues in St Mary's Ward?
Well, I completely agree with Irene about the traffic. It's absolute logjam in the centre of St Mary's Ward. And also the pollution is really bad, actually very high levels by Ada District Council, the old building, the Civic Centre, it's really high levels. And they were considering having a Morrison's there, of course, and now they've got that construction. Morrison's has pulled out, but there will be flats and businesses there, so that's going to increase the traffic. I don't know where it's all going to go. The other issue along that same area is flooding. At the moment, houses are being flooded already, and businesses. Parking, as I previously mentioned, and then the last thing is Southlands Hospital, which is just on the edge of St Mary's. So those are some of my priorities.
Thank you. And Stephen, your issues in... sorry, we're going to have a quick break. I'll be back in a moment. Don't go away. You're watching The Vote for Ada and Worthing with the candidates from St Mary's Ward. Don't go away. Okay, welcome back to the Ada and Worthing vote. My name is Mike Mendoza. I'm joined by the candidates for the upcoming Ada by-election for St Mary's Ward. Before the break, we asked the question, what are the issues in St Mary's Ward? And it's now time for Stephen Chipp to answer.
Very fortunate, I think, talking to people that I've spoken to wandering around over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks. There are problems, but by and large people are very, very happy in the area. I think the main things that I've picked up is certainly the parking around the high street, the side roads. I spoke to an old couple who lived on the road with the Indian cottage at the bottom, I think it's West Street, that literally they're not able to get out of their front doors, and they said it was quite a simple, straightforward fix in terms of, I'm going to agree with the Green Party absolutely, in terms of parking. You need more, I actually think you need more traffic wardens here just to enforce the lines that are already there. So that's something that certainly can be looked at. And again, people are generally worried about the flooding issue, which I know there's been money generated to help with the tidal walls, I think coming up in the next year or 2 years. So I think they're the things I'd be focusing on.
Thank you. And Paul Graysmark, pretending to be Jenny Group.
Yes. The points that have been brought up already, the level crossing at Eastern Avenue, there was a survey done on that in 2005-06 between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. The gates were open for 13 minutes, meaning they were closed for 47. So how traffic gets around Shoreham is quite a mystery, really, which obviously forces the rat runs that have been spoken about. About the parking, we had free parking in Ada, in all the Ada car parks, and people that was not enforced, by the way. People that lived in worked in London then parked free all day and clogged up the car parks so that people couldn't go shopping. So paying for your parking was introduced, which then freed up the car parks to allow shoppers to make use of them. So we're going round in circles with some of these problems. I've probably got an advantage on the other participants insofar as I've been around for a while, but there are lots of little problems but no major ones. One thing we could do is to make the A27 a decent trunk road so people would choose to use that rather than the A259. But that's one for national government. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to the audience now, you've all heard the answers, certainly as far as what are the issues in St Mary's Ward. Does anyone want to make a comment? Anyone feel that the answers were correct? Do you want to add to the answers?
David Ahern, Worthing Green Party. One of the problems in Shoreham with the level crossing is that the trains block the crossing even once they're in the station and stopped, and that's because the platforms are too short for most of the trains.
That's not true.
And this has been a problem for many years. So by the time the gates open, or could open, there's another train coming in the opposite direction. So the gates remain closed for far longer than is necessary, and this could be ameliorated very easily by extending the platform. But Network Rail have no interest whatever in supporting the infrastructure within the towns where they have stations.
Okay, well that we will discuss in a moment as well. Any other questions for the candidates as far as the problems of St Mary's Ward at the moment? Comment?
So I don't recognise that station, I'm sorry. It may be Lancing or Portslade, I think, has problems with the length of the platform, but Shoreham doesn't. Shoreham station is full length, I believe.
Sorry, I was thinking of Lancing.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry.
I thought so.
That's St Mary's Ward, really, we're looking at on
Yes,
that one.
that's right, yeah.
Okay, do you want to make a comment?
No, that was the comment I would have made.
Okay. As I mentioned before, we will come back to the hospital issue as well in a moment. As I mentioned earlier as well, the ward was a stronghold of Labour under Jeff Howitt. When Jeff retired, the ward went to the Conservatives in May of this year. The Conservative candidate picked up almost 50% of the vote. And the question is really, is how you're going to turn this around. Are you going to make it back to Labour? How are you going to go back to Green? How are you going to get it to UKIP? And basically, how are you going to keep it for the Conservatives? So let's go to you first.
Okay. We have been, like Stephen, we've been out in all weathers, and we're getting used to wringing our clothes out every weekend and getting ready for the next day, canvassing. We have been out canvassing a lot, and currently we're running at, the people who we are talking to, of those, about 40% are saying that they're going to vote Labour in this election, which will, if we're right, if our polling is right, will be a considerable increase on last time. What people are saying to us on the doorstep is that Ada needs a strong, coherent opposition, and also a voice that's accountable to the local people. That's something that's quite difficult when so many decisions are made behind closed doors in Ada Council with the cabinet system as it stands. People are telling us that far too many jobs and services have been moved over towards Worthing. The closing down of the Civic Centre, however temporary it is, doesn't help the feeling that Shoreham and Southwick and beyond are actually coming adrift, and that so many things are moving over to Worthing. It's very important to have a strong voice for the community in St Mary's as the heart of Shoreham. And I am a seasoned campaigner. I've spent a lot of years working in local authorities, working with campaign groups, working with trade unions, and I believe that I'm the right person to champion St Mary's.
Okay. Jenny Tyndall, how are you going to turn it around for the Greens?
Well, we've had similar response when we've been canvassing as well. Really positive response from the doors that we've knocked on. Like Irene said, Ada Council at the moment is dominated by Conservative councillors and a few UKIP as well recently. There's no balance. We need a balance from the other parties. We need either Green or Labour or something else, because there's not a balance. And we need another viewpoint. We need to listen to the local community, completely. I live on Shoreham Beach, where we have 2 independent councillors, and they quite often are pivotal in decisions, in planning, for example, at the council, because they're the only ones that actually vote against something. Quite often everybody votes together in the Conservatives or the UKIP. They all vote the same, and quite often the UKIP, the independent, votes something different. So it's important to have another voice, and that's what I feel that the Greens could provide.
Thank you. Paul Graysmark.
Well, UKIP came second last time by a couple of hundred votes, I think.
No, that's not true, that's right.
No, I think Labour came second last time.
Yeah.
We need to turn things
Sorry
round.
for interrupting.
She came third.
Yes, all right, we came third. We need to turn it round. Our own polling is being as positive as the other 2 speakers so far. I'm sure Stephen will agree with that. I nearly threw a pun in there. We are on the up. There's 6 of us on the council at the moment. We need 7, and we're the ones who are making the opposition. Last year, as a sole UKIP person on the council, I actually put a notice motion in to review the cabinet system as it operates. The cabinet system is not democratic.
Right.
I advised my then Conservative colleagues back in 2008 not to go down that route, but they chose to. We need that gone, so that will be one of the main things that we'll be working on from the UKIP standpoint. And my apologies for claiming second place.
It's okay.
Thank you. Wishful thinking. Stephen, you're going into a situation which the Conservatives actually hold at the moment. So what would you do?
Well, I think if everyone's going to vote the way we've all found, then we're going to have a hung. I don't think anyone's going to win this seat, by the way. I genuinely, as I said, from speaking to people on the doorstep, I've spoken to several hundred people. I think if the people who are out were voting, we'd all win, in all honesty. But there's several hundred people I've spoken to are generally very happy living in the area. That's sort of my message, really. There isn't, as some of the other candidates have said, that there isn't really any big issue. So I suppose my message, or the easiest message I could say, and say very little else, is if it's not broke, don't fix it. People are happy. I hope, as I've said before, I'm not going to be sort of browbeaten into taking a party line if I believe in something strongly. So I hope to represent the St Mary's ward, and I think I can do so.
Thank you. Any questions from the public on the answers you received? Gentleman in the middle there.
Thank you. Peter Barnes, Worthing West CLP, and a colleague of the candidate from the Labour Party. I can't really address this question to the Conservative representative because his party are in overall control. But I'd like to address this to the Green Party candidate, the Labour Party candidate, and the UKIP candidate. Would you think the system of cabinet undemocratic if your party had a majority?
Do you want to answer that? I'll do a quick answer because
me personally, no. We've come second actually in other elections in the area and in St Mary's the time before. So yeah, absolutely. It needs to be more open. We need to consult with our community much more, and it isn't at the moment. It needs to be fairer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I certainly wouldn't. I believe that we need change. We need serious change in this ward, in the council.
Okay, we've got to have a break again. When we come back, in fact, this is going to be the end of this part of the programme. We're back again in a couple of days' time for the next part of the programme. So stay with us here on The Vote. Adrian Worthing, my name is Mike Mendoza. My grateful thanks at the moment to Stephen Chipp, to Irene Reid, to Jenny Tyndall, and also to Paul Graysmark. We'll be back next time.